This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the murder of Heather Quan. And I am going to give us some feel-good stories, just good shit to get us through the week.
I love it. And because you told me this was a feel-good one, I went a little bit darker. So
Awesome. I want to apologize ahead of time for this kind of like cop-out episode on my part. I had a like heinous week at work.
you poor thing.
There was just a lot of like things happening, and it's just been a very emotional week, and I just did not have time. So, I was like, you know what? I've had a crappy week. Let's just have a good story.
Yeah, it's not a cop-out. It's a good feel. We rarely do that on this podcast, and we should do it more.
We really should. I thought my jokes were pretty good.
Oh, yeah, your jokes do help. Yes, they do.
I have some good jokes for you.
Oh, good. Good. I watched a TikTok of dad jokes, and some of them made me laugh, and then I totally forgot what they are, but I thought of you.
There's this lady on TikTok, and she has like the funniest jokes, and she's like this older lady. She's like always in her nightgown.
I love that.
And has like the weird like filters and like psychedelic like video things.
Oh,
And
that's fun. I like that.
That's where I got my Sunday joke.
Oh,
Yeah. So
love
anyways,
it.
yeah.
All right. So my story is rough for various reasons that we will get into. I got my sources from Medium magazine, a podcast. Well, I don't know if it's a podcast or a blog, but I think it's a podcast. It's called Killer Queens.
Okay.
And then another podcast that I've mentioned many times, Let's Go to Court.
Let's Go to Court.
Yes, Brandy covered this case in their bonus episodes. Because I'm a patron of theirs because I love them.
And if you want to be a patron of ours, just let us know.
Yeah, we're thinking about launching a Patreon. Anyway, so
welcome to our unedited episode.
All right. So, Christmas of 2006, Ryan Waller was supposed to go to his family's house for Christmas dinner. At the time, he lived with his girlfriend, Heather Quan, in Phoenix, Arizona. They'd only been dating for 8 months, but they had known each other for years. They recently had moved in together. I think they had been living together for like a month or so.
Whoa. They were only together for 8 months, and then they moved in together?
Yeah, but like I said, they'd had been friends for years.
Okay, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, so like they had known each other for a really long time, and they just kind of decided to start dating. And they were young. Ryan was 18 at the time. He had just graduated high school. And Heather was just, I want to say her freshman year of college because she wasn't much older than Ryan.
What does that mean? Like freshman?
Oh, do you guys not have that?
No.
What do you call your years in school?
We 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Really?
Like in
high school, what are your years?
Grade 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Oh. Okay, so we call them freshman, sophomore, junior, senior.
So you guys don't call them like grade 9, grade 10?
No, you say your freshman year, your sophomore year. I mean, you can. They're interchangeable. Like you can say grade 9, 10, 11, 12. But like most people say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And same goes with college or university. Most people say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. It works a little less well with university because, sometimes people do 5 years. Sometimes people start and stop. And so it works a little less well. But yeah, so freshman is your first year.
Executive senior.
Super senior.
Yeah, no, we don't have that. Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So freshman is your first you're a freshman.
Okay.
And they had another roommate named Alicia, who we think is the girlfriend of Eddie, who is we think all four of them live together. So, or I'm sorry, Eric, not Eddie. So the thought, there's not a ton of information except for what I'm going to get into, but so they think that Ryan moved in with Eric, and then Eric had his girlfriend Alicia living with him, and Ryan had his girlfriend Heather. So there's the four of them, two couples.
Okay.
Um, so Ryan's dad, Don, was starting to get kind of worried because Ryan or Heather hadn't shown up to their house for Christmas dinner, which they were supposed to. And it's not really like them to just like not show up and not call. So throughout dinner, they tried to call Ryan, and he didn't answer. So then, after dinner, they're like, what, let's just run over there real quick and just make sure everything's okay. So they go over to Ryan and Heather's house and they knock on the door. Nobody answers. So they're like, you know what? We're just going to call the cops and have them do a welfare check just to be on the safe side. It's not like them to just not show up. We haven't heard from them in a couple days. Let's see what's going on.
You know what? Oh, never mind. I was gonna say, like, we don't have very many friends that would like do that for us because we're very much like homebodies. And I'm really bad at like responding to people's text messages.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but no, I call my mother every single morning. Like she knew what was up. Like
That's actually, I had that question in here. How long, if you and Kyle were to die like in the middle of the night, how long do you think it would take for someone to come check on you?
I mean, technically my dad lives with us.
Oh, okay.
So like he'd know fairly quick.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I said, I talk to my mom every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I were to just not show up at work,
Yeah.
that would be kind of
Mm-hmm.
like I never don't show up at work. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what do I do?
Cody and I were talking about that actually a while ago, just randomly. Like, we were both died in the night, how long till someone found us? Because we got two little kids. And I was like, I talk to my parents almost every day, but they live in Michigan. So I think I could go like a day or two before they would like really worry. But I do talk to Tess, my friend here, almost every day. And she lives like 5-10 minutes away from me. So I think that if I went like maybe 2 days or so without talking to her, she might kind of just come over and see what was going on. And then Cody works. So I think if he missed work and wasn't answering, maybe someone would come. The only thing is that he works from home and like his boss lives in Phoenix or something, and his counterpart lives in San Diego. So I don't know that anybody would really like, I think eventually they'd be like, where the hell did Cody go? I don't know,
Like a week later.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I was thinking about that, but um for Ryan, it was a day of missed plans. So okay. This is where we're gonna get into a timeline. And the timeline's kind of important. So it was 7:50 p.m. when they called the police and asked them to do a welfare check. And the police said, okay, we'll send someone out and we'll have them call you, when they're on their way out there. So it wasn't until 11:30 p.m. that the police called and said, hey, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, we haven't heard from them. Can you just do a welfare check? And they're like, sure. And so it was around midnight that the police arrived. So
Like 5 hours.
like 4 hours, 7:50 to, yeah. So it was like 4 or 5 hours before the cops actually got there. And so when they knocked, Alicia didn't answer or anything. When they were there waiting for the police to come, Ryan's dad left for about 15 minutes waiting for the police to like get coffee or something. While he was gone, Alicia came home, but didn't notice anything was amiss. She saw Ryan, and just kind of
Because
went into her room and shut the door.
it's Eric and Alicia that are together, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So she just like got home and went shut the door and went to bed. And she heard the police knocking, but Ryan was in the living room. She saw him when she walked by, and she's like, "Oh, he'll get the door. It's probably his friends or whatever." So police knocked, like I said. Nobody answered, but there were blinds that were kind of moving. Like kind of there was like a fan on and it was kind of blowing the blinds.
Mhm.
And the police looked through and they saw someone laying on the floor. And instead of going in, they said they had to wait for a search warrant. So they said
But
that because
other,
Ryan rented the house and he didn't own it, they needed a search warrant.
yeah, but if they're going to do a wellness check, like,
Yeah, and according to Brandy on Let's Go to Court, that's bullshit. And
yeah,
they could have gone in because it's someone is in distress, basically.
exactly. You're allowed to, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they didn't. So they waited to get a search warrant. So that took another hour. So now it's about 1 a.m.
I mean, I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah. Well, then instead of like trying to find a way in or breaking the door down, they decided to call the police locksmith and waited for him.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. So the police locksmith came out, tried to pick the front lock, didn't work. So they went around back, and they tried to open a door that led to like the primary bedroom. So there was a back door there that went out to the backyard. As they were doing this, the door opened and there
Ew.
stood Ryan. He was bloody. His left eye was swollen and black. It looked as if he had just gotten in a fight. He let them in. They went in and they found Heather's body lying on the ground with a gunshot wound to the head. They handcuffed Ryan, put him in the back of the police car a little after 1. And the ambulance and police vehicles showed up to like canvass the crime scene and get Heather's body out of there. And this whole time, Ryan's dad, Don, and his mom, who were divorced at the time, we're pretty sure, were like waiting to hear what was going on. The police didn't tell them anything. And then when they walked Ryan out in handcuffs, his mom said, "That's Ryan, that's Ryan." And Don went over to try and like see Ryan, and this cop was there, and he's like, "You can't go see him." He's like, "That's my son. I just want to know if he's okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on." And apparently the police officer like was a dick. And like I read one where it said like he puffed his chest out and was like, "You can't do that." And I read another one that like he like kind of chest bumped Ryan's dad, Don. I was like, "Get out, you
Ugh.
can't do that." Yeah, just like real like, "Ooh, I'm a man," stuff.
Yeah, power trip.
Yeah. So Ryan sat in the back of the police car for 4 hours. Finally, at 5 a.m., the lead detective on the case, Detective Dalton, said, "Let's take him to the police station." So they took him to the police station and they started taking pictures of his face and all of his injury. They took like a shit ton of pictures. They took his clothes because he had blood on them, and they gave him like this weird white jumpsuit thing to wear. They then put him in the interrogation room where he sat there. And this interrogation was all recorded and the video was released, and it went viral.
Did you watch it?
I did.
Is it creepy?
It's sad, and you'll hear why. So Ryan gets in there. He's kind of sitting there for a little bit with his head like resting on the desk, and then he looks and there's something dangling from the desk, and it's a handcuff. And he looks at it and he picks it up and he handcuffs himself to the desk. Then he sits there for a little bit longer, stands up, tries to walk away, and realizes he's handcuffed and sits back down. Then someone came in. He was kind of like Ryan was kind of whimpering at the time because he was in pain, it was kind of like a whimpering type sound. And someone finally came in to take pictures of the bottom of his feet. I'm assuming it was another like evidence like cop getting evidence or whatever. And Ryan said to the cop, "Man, I just want to go to sleep." And the cop said, "That'll happen sooner or later." Ryan then said, "Can I go home?" And he said, "You should go to the doctor. That's where you should go." And Ryan said, "Me? Why? Because of this?" Pointing to like his face. "Is it bad?" And the officer said, "I'd say that's really bad. I just
Weird.
want to go to sleep. That's it." And the officer said, "If you have a concussion, you don't want to sleep. That's what the doctors will say."
Hmm.
So at no point in time so far has he been given any kind of medical attention, right? So he opens the door. He's covered in blood. His eye is swollen and black. Like there's no other way to describe it. Like it's black. Like you get like a black eye, but usually black eyes look kind of like blue and no, this is like black.
Weird.
And he sat in the back of the car for 4 hours. They brought him right to the police station. Never got any
Wait,
medical help.
do we ever find out what happened to his eye?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Detective Dalton comes in and goes on to interrogate Ryan for another 36 minutes. So at this point, it's been 4.5, 5 hours, almost 6 hours probably, that he's been in like police custody without medical attention.
Yeah.
He wasn't coherent. He really wasn't making sense. And here's some of the transcript from his thing. Detective asks, "What is your highest grade of education?" And Ryan says, "I don't know. I don't know, eighth." And Text says, "Did you graduate?" Ryan says, "Yeah." Text says, "Do you have your GED?" Ryan, "I don't know." Detective, "You don't know what?" Ryan, "I don't know. I don't know. I just want to go home." Detective, "You're not going home right now." Long pause. Ryan, "So what?" Detective, "What's the highest grade that you completed?" Ryan, "B?" Detective, "No, not grade as in letter grade. I'm asking, did you graduate high school?" Ryan, "No." Detective, "And the highest grade you went was eighth grade?" Ryan, yeah." Detective, "Do you know how to read and write?" Ryan, "Yeah." Detective, "Do you have a girlfriend?" Ryan, mm, mm-mm. Detective, "No. Do you know a girl named Heather?" Ryan, mm-hmm. Detective, "Do you know Heather's last name?" Ryan, mm-hmm. Detective, "What's Heather's last name?" Ryan, "The one that lives there right now?" Detective, I don't know. Her name is Heather. What's her last name?" Ryan, I don't know what name she's trying to use as her last name. Something, and then he says something about a nickname, but he's like really mumbly and I couldn't make out that line.
Um,
Detective, "How old is Heather?" Ryan, 16, 17. She was not. She was in college. So, detective, "Is she a white girl?" Ryan, "Yeah." Detective, "How'd you meet Heather?" Ryan, I've known her from school. I don't know." Detective, "You've just known her from school?" Ryan, "She used to be a business name. I don't know." So this goes on like this. And earlier, Ryan had told him that someone had hit him in the face. But then, when asked in the interrogation, Ryan said that he didn't know what happened to his face. The detective asked if it was Heather who had hit him. And Ryan said, "It was an accident. I don't know." And the detective asked, "What was the accident?" And Ryan said, "Heather's last name."
what?
Yeah. So he's clearly not coherent. Something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
He then kept asking if he and Heather had an argument, and Ryan said it was an accident and that She was helping Christina with her hair. She was on the couch. So, first, the detective had asked him, what was going on or what happened. And Ryan said Heather was giving Christina head. And the detective said, "What?" And then Ryan said, "She was helping Christina with her hair. She was on the couch."
Well, that's very different.
Yeah, yes. The detective asked him again a bit later. And at this time, Ryan said that Heather was on the couch. And the detective was like, "Hey, you just said your friend Christina was on the couch." And Ryan said, "I don't know, man. I really don't know. I really don't know, man." And
Are
so,
we
like,
thinking concussion or drugs?
well, he has that huge wound on his face, right?
Yeah.
So then the detective said, "You really don't know, or you just don't want to tell me?" Ryan, "I really don't know, man. I want to go to sleep." Detective, "Well, Ryan, you're not going to go anywhere." Detective, Ryan, "There's a dead girl in your living room." Ryan, "She's dead?" Detective, "Yes." Ryan, "Heather?" Detective, "I don't know. I want to know what happened in your house last night." Ryan, "The girl on the couch is dead?" Detective, "I don't know if she's on the couch. She's dead." Ryan, "Well, these people came over, Richie and his dad, shooting arrows and darts and bows and arrow. You know what I'm talking about?" He Then the detective said, "So you're saying Richie hit you?" So Richie is Eric's old roommate. So when Ryan and Heather first moved into the house, they had Eric. And Eric had previously had a different roommate named Richie. Apparently, Richie and Eric had some kind of fight, some kind of falling out, and Eric kicked Richie out, which is then when Ryan moved in.
Okay.
And apparently, one night, Eric heard something outside and in the backyard and went to go check things out and saw Richie kind of like creeping around in the backyard. And Eric had a gun and said, "Get the fuck out of here." And he went. But apparently, Richie still kind of hung out around the neighborhood. He knew the neighbors and stuff. So he still kind of hung out with them. And when Ryan was moving in, he had seen that Ryan had some pretty nice things. He had a really nice computer. He had a lot of really nice guitars because he was an aspiring musician. So keep that in mind. Back to the interrogation. Detective said, "You said they had bows and arrows. Now they have revolvers. And then what happened?" Ryan, "And then they shot us." Detective, "They shot both of you? Where'd they shoot you?" Ryan, "I got shot in the eye." Detective, "You got shot in the eye with a revolver?" Ryan, I don't know, man. I don't know. Fuck." Detective, "Then what happened?" Ryan, "I don't know." Detective, "You don't know a lot." Ryan, "I don't know, man. I really don't." Detective, "Did you shoot Heather? I heard you have a lot of guns in your house." Detective also said, "You are all over the board. You're saying So you're saying bows and arrows, revolvers. You're saying they shot you in the eye. Okay, they shot you with a revolver in the eye. Was it a BB gun? Ryan, "No, it was a real gun, man. It was just a revolver." Detective, "If they shot you in the eye with a revolver, you wouldn't be talking to me right now." Ryan, "How do you know?" Detective, "Because most likely you'd be dead." Ryan, "That's what I thought too, man. I just really don't know. I just want to go to bed." He continued to interrogate Ryan, but Ryan wasn't making sense.
Like, are you freaking kidding me? Somebody just tells you that they got shot in the eye with a gun
Yeah,
that you can very visibly see is black,
yeah,
and he is obviously not making any sense, and you don't seek medical attention for him?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So this continues on, and Ryan's getting more and more agitated. And finally, the detective said, basically, like, "You got to tell me the truth, Ryan." And Ryan's like, "I don't know, man. Just ask me anything. I'll tell you the truth." And he put his head down. He then put his feet on the table, and the detective said, "Get your feet off the table." And Ryan said, "My feet hurt, and I don't know why." the detective said, "Let me look at your nose." So he kind of like put his hand on Ryan's head and kind of like moved his face, back and forth. And then he closes his binder and says, "I'll be right back," and leaves the room. He comes back in and says the fire department's coming to look at him and said that they were going to take him to the hospital. But then while they're waiting, he keeps questioning him. He asks him who Richie and his dad are, what their last names are, how you can, all this kind of stuff. And when he brings the like fire department or EMS in and or paramedics, the detective's like, yeah, he's acting like he has a serious head injury. What? Not like
No.
now, really? Good job. Right. Some detective. So they take his blood pressure and his heartbeat, like check his heart rate and everything, and everything's pretty normal. Like his blood pressure's fine, his heart rate's normal, but obviously something's wrong. And the detective noticed when he took a closer look that Ryan did in fact get shot in the head twice. He has an entrance wound on one side of his nose and an exit wound on the other, and then an entrance wound in his eye. Yeah.
Oh, that's a twist. I thought
So,
he was the bad guy.
and so did the police
Sure.
officer. But like, you even like before they even put him in the police cruiser, they should have had him evaluated by a
Yeah.
paramedic.
Yeah. Because they kept him in the car for like 4 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why this timeline matters, because at this point he has been with shot twice in the face in police custody without medical help for 6 hours. And
Yeah.
with any brain injury, like time is of the essence.
Well, and he shouldn't be interrogating them.
Right. Like nothing he's saying is making sense. So they finally get him to the hospital. They had to remove part of his brain. There was a bullet lodged in his brain.
Wow.
They had to remove part of his brain. During the surgery, they had to remove both eyes. They were able to save
Oh.
one and put one eye back in, but one of his eyes were gone. And his jaw was broken from when the police tackled him at the scene to take him down.
Oh. Wow.
So during this chaotic interrogation, Ryan was able to get out that Richie and his dad, Larry Carver, were the ones who shot him and Heather. The police went to check out this lead and ended up arresting Richie, but Larry had already fled to California.
Wow.
Larry's wife said that both Larry and Richie had gone to Ryan's house on December 25th to, quote, retrieve some of Richie's stuff and confront someone regarding a pistol whipping. And apparently, when Larry, the dad, got back home, he said to his wife, "I've just fucked up. I killed two people and I got to get out of here."
Whoa.
Yeah. So they eventually found Larry and arrested him. But right before his trial, his wife withdrew her statement and invoked spousal privilege, which basically means that you cannot force a spouse to testify against their spouse. She said that she lied because she was mad at Larry. And because of her withdrawing her statement, the prosecution didn't think that they had enough on Larry, and his case was dismissed. Somehow, they felt that they had enough on Richie, and they went forward with his trial, and he was convicted of Heather's murder and the attempted murder of Ryan and was given life without the possibility of parole.
Could he not like rat on his dad? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. And they think one of the reasons why Larry's wife had first come forward and said what she said was because Larry was basically going to pin this all on their son, Richie. And then she backtracked. So who knows if she was like threatened or if she just changed her mind. I don't know. So Heather's family was obviously pissed off. After the trial, it came out that they were there for Ryan and they killed Heather, so there wouldn't be any witnesses. And they didn't want Larry to get away with this, so they decided to do something about it. they got a legislation passed called Heather's Law. And it basically says that if a spouse comes forward with information, they can't then take it back and invoke spousal privilege. And they fought to get this applied retroactively to Larry. And the court was like, yeah, let's do it.
Fuck yeah.
So he was charged again and put on trial. And he was also found guilty and sentenced to life without parole.
Yeah.
As for Ryan,
Yeah, he lay it on me.
he was no longer able to live on his own. His dad
Yeah.
said that he was kind of like an Alzheimer's patient. He had good days and bad days. He started having pretty bad seizures. He went on meds, but it didn't stop the seizures, just kind of slowed him down. He would go into seizures and like smack his head on things and have to go get stitches. One time he had a seizure and he was in bed and like his ankle somehow twisted in his blankets and snapped from the seizure. And on January 20th, 2016, Ryan had a seizure that caused a brain bleed to burst and he passed away. So because he died from complications due to what they did to him, his family could have pressed charges again. So like, because they got convicted for attempted murder of Ryan, so they could have upped it to murder of Ryan, but both men were already in prison for life and the family didn't want to have to go through that again, so they decided not to pursue the extra charges.
Yeah.
They did, however, decide to sue the Arizona Police Department.
Good.
For $15 million.
Holy shit.
But right before it was supposed to go to trial, the city said that they had an expert who said that it didn't matter the amount of time Ryan had waited. And even though the family had their own witness saying that, yeah, it mattered, the judge was like, good enough for me, and threw the case out. So obviously, as anybody knows, in any kind of brain injury, like the more time you wait, the more time your brain has to swell and the more damage that does, right?
Yeah.
And their expert also said that the fact that it went like through the sinus cavity is going to introduce a ton of infection into the brain. And by the time Ryan had gotten into surgery, he already had a pretty bad infection going on. It was like that.
Yeah.
So there was also some fishy stuff that the police did with this case. So Heather's date of death from both the medical examiner and like anybody you talk to, as well as what's on her gravestone, is December 25th. And that's what lines up. That's when, Alicia said she came home and saw Ryan with the black eye, thought he had just gotten in a fight, like didn't really say anything and walked by. December 25th, right? Everybody's December 20th. Medical examiner, December 25th.
Okay.
The police went back and tried to change her date of death to December 23rd. Because that way, Ryan had been with the injury for like 2.5 days, which would account for the time issue instead of it being their fault. So like, well, it was there for 2.5 days. Like these extra 6 hours didn't matter.
Like, and the judge didn't know about this with that suing?
I don't know. The Arizona Police Department's in a lot of trouble. The Department of Justice is actually looking into them. And they're looking into how they investigate internal things because they internally investigated the handling of this case and were like, yeah, everything's great. This is fine. This is perfectly done. So the Department of Justice is like, that's not right. And not just based on this case. There's other things that they have done that brought in the Department of Justice. So they are currently under investigation, and Brian's family is hoping that once it comes out, their like results or findings for the Department of Justice, if it comes out that the Arizona Department was negligent, then they can go ahead and sue them again.
Perfect.
Yeah. So Um, Larry and Richie are still in jail, and poor Heather and Ryan are gone, and that's the story.
I hate people.
Yeah. And his interrogation, it's really sad. I mean, you can tell something's wrong. Something's not right. Like he's not making
Well,
sense. He doesn't understand questions. Like,
and I feel bad because at first I was like, what kind of crack is this guy on?
right, and it's like watching him, you can tell it's not drugs. Just the way he's talking, the way he's acting. Like it's not. It doesn't seem like any type of drugs I've seen, which I don't have extensive knowledge in drugs, but
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Let me show you his face, what it looked like. So I'm going to share my screen for those of you that watch our videos.
Content warning.
Yes, content warning, content warning. Good call. All right, so this
Holy shit.
brought up the video. We don't want that, but you can see like there's his eye, like it's completely swollen shut and like black. And then this is I think that's
Holy
probably the
crap.
exit wound from the other one. There's another picture here of it. Like it's bad. How, as a detective, are you sitting across like from this face and you don't think like, hey, maybe I should get that looked at, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, thank you for that atrocity.
Yeah, let's lighten up the mood and get some good feeling stories.
Yes. Thank you for telling that story. Um, it was horrible.
Yeah. Oh, and if you have had any run-ins with the Arizona police, they're looking for like civil rights violations, that kind of stuff, contact the DOJ. They are still in an ongoing investigation. So
Do that. So I just used BuzzFeed, so the credit goes all out to them.
I love me some BuzzFeed.
But honestly, we need happiness.
Yes.
And
Yes, we do.
Ashley's story proves that. So,
Yes.
okay. I am a nurse and had been working in a cardiac ICU unit. A lot of my coworkers left to take travel assignments over the years. We would often have going away parties at bars and restaurants when people left. One nurse threw a going away party at a local distillery that was close to the hospital. She had her family there and a bunch of coworkers. We all bought, excuse me, we all brought board games and we're having a very intense game of Pictionary when the bartender came over to tell us that all our tabs had been paid by a man who owned the business next door.
Oh, I love that.
Apparently, he would come in often for a drink after work since they have a bar there too. And he saw our group and asked what we were up to. The bartender told him we were a bunch of nurses saying goodbye to one of our own, and he relayed to the bartender that seeing such a large, happy group made him happy, and
Oh,
he wanted to pay it forward as he knew the healthcare field can be a stressful place.
oh, I love that. That's
There
so
were
nice.
there were probably about 15 to 20 people drinking cocktails, and he paid all the tabs, and he slipped out before we could truly thank him.
Oh,
Like, how
I love
cute!
that.
Yeah. The next one is from Area 51 Official.
Ooh.
The other one was anonymous. When I was younger, I'd often bike through this one dangerous intersection without stopping. Dumb.
Ooh, yeah, why would you do that?
I was in a really dark place and figured
Oh,
I'd either get through it or I wouldn't,
oh
and neither
God.
one bothered me.
Oh, poor
That's
thing.
horrible. I'm sorry
Yeah.
you felt that way, Area
Yeah.
51. One day I was nearly hit by a speeding car in that intersection. If I'd locked up my brakes, I'd be dead. I skidded across the road and crashed into the driveway on the other side. The elderly lady who lived in that house came running to make sure I was okay,
Oh.
told me it wasn't my fault, and asked if I wanted her to call my parents or anyone.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. She had no idea that it was at least in part a suicide attempt, but her
Oh.
concern for a complete stranger stayed with me ever since.
Oh. She
I,
probably saved
s-
his life.
yeah, I still bike through there occasionally, but I haven't seen her in a long time. I wonder about her a lot and wish I'd had a chance to thank her and to tell her the whole story and that I'm getting better
Oh, I love
now. That is so sweet.
that.
Oh, I love that so
I do
much.
too. I love the
Um,
stories of like where people unknowingly saved someone else's life, you know?
I
Oh my
know.
gosh. Speaking of that, and I'm
Ooh,
off like two. Have you seen on Netflix? There's a movie called A Man Called Otto.
I've heard
It's
about it.
it's new. It's with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I cried twice. It's like bittersweet, but like it's like happy and then like bittersweet, but it's just like
We can watch it.
amazing.
I'll
It's
watch it with you.
so good. Yeah, we'll have to.
I don't think it's on our Netflix.
Oh, okay. Well, any listeners out there, go watch A Man Called Otto. It's so good.
That's so cute.
I love it. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. So, kind of on the opposite note of your story, this person said, a police officer paid for me to have lunch after I had a bad day.
Aw, that's nice.
We have some good ones out there.
Definitely do. We definitely do.
Yeah. The person in front of me at the coffee shop paid for the $750 order of coffee and pastries for my daughter's 13th birthday.
Oh.
I would have like absolutely sobbed.
Yeah, because that's, I mean, $750, that's a lot of money to not
A
have to
lot
pay
of
for
money.
anymore, you know?
Yeah. This one is from JBird2706.
Oh,
They said, my 5-month-old daughter and I were coming home from taking care of my mom several states away after surgery. She couldn't drive, so we got a ride from a neighbor to the airport near her house, and we're going to rent a car to drive to the airport we were flying out of. That was about 2 hours away. Long story short, I didn't have a credit card, so I was unable to rent a car. This was before Uber, so we were pretty much stranded.
oh.
As I was on the phone with family in tears with an infant trying to figure out what to do, a woman and her teenage daughter came over and offered us a ride to the other airport.
Aw.
Total strangers just overheard me and offered to help. They drove us 2 hours out of their way, got us to the airport on time, and refused any sort of payment besides a thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, so sweet. This other one is I had to move home after some serious mental health problems. Same. And was pretty crushed about it.
Hmm.
A friend of a friend reached out to me on social media and asked if I wanted to grab a coffee. It turns out they had the same problems but were ahead in recovery.
Oh,
Since then, we've become friends, and they've explained so much to me and my family about how to recover and what that journey looks like. I'm not there yet, but as soon as I feel able, I'll be aiming to help someone else.
I love that. I was so worried when you said a friend of a friend reached out that it was going to be like a, hey, boss babe, I've got an opportunity for you. I was like, oh no. But then it turned out real
I
nice.
have had to like tell people off before about that. Like people I know, but like they'll reach out and they'll be like, "Hey, like I'm so sorry that, your dog died, but like tell me
Have
all about."
I got an opportunity for
Yeah,
you?
literally. And I'm not even joking. I'm pretty sure it was congratulations on getting married, like, or getting engaged or whatever. And it's like, oh, do you need this? And I'm like, no
Oh,
thanks.
those MLMs.
Yeah. Anyways, thankfully it wasn't that.
Yes.
When my twins were about 8 months old, my ex-husband and I went on a baby moon to the UK for 9 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Midway through, we got a taxi to the train station and departed one city for another. At the train station, I realized I couldn't find my phone anywhere. It was on airplane mode, so I had no idea where I had lost it.
Oh
Literally my life.
no.
I was a wreck trying not to cry in public because in my mind I had just lost precious photos and videos of my miracle babies after several miscarriages and fertility treatments.
Oh.
This amazingly kind German man came up to us and asked if I was all right. I gave him a quick rundown of the situation. He lent me a phone to call the taxi service who had it in their car.
Oh, that's very nice.
The man legit took the phone and said he would be there to pick it up within the hour. He wrote down the address of the bed and breakfast we were staying at, contacted the manager, explained the situation, asked if they would mail the phone to our next hotel if he brought it by. We had a great host, so he said he would absolutely be happy to do so. By the time we checked into our hotel in London that night, my phone was delivered to the room.
Oh, I love that.
Those sweet men saw a struggling young mom in crisis and totally rearranged their days to make everything right.
That's really nice. One time I dropped my phone in the ocean,
Oh no.
but that was before I had like kids, so I didn't have like any like just like pictures of me and like I mean I lost but now we have Google photo so everything uploaded there so I didn't lose anything at all actually, but I would be sad if I lost pictures of my kids.
Yeah, that'd be so sad.
Not saying that people who don't have kids have nothing on their phones worth saving. That's not what I meant at all.
Are you sure?
Yes. My life was very full before I had children, as well
Yes.
as it is now. I just like didn't have anything on my phone that I would be like super devastated if I had lost.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Uh, okay. This one is S.C. Jameson 1.
Mm.
I was in college trying to fly home for spring break. The only available flight home was at 5:30 in the morning. So, so the only way I could make it to that airport was if I stayed in a hotel. The next morning, I catch an Uber, pay $40 for it, and go to check my baggage for my flight. Turns out my flight was canceled in the middle of the night, and I never got a text.
Oh no.
So my 19-year-old self is stranded in an airport at 4:30 in the morning with my parents not answering the phone because it's 1:30 a.m. for them.
Mm.
I finally find a way back to the hotel and ask if I can still have my room. The receptionist says yes. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm exhausted. I say, can I grab a water? You can charge it to my room. She says, oh no, honey, go get your water. No charge.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah. This one is KCat22. I had a seizure in a foreign country where I didn't speak the language. A stranger accompanied me to the hospital in the ambulance, translated everything, and stayed with me for hours. Then he made sure I was safely in a taxi back to my hotel and had enough money to pay for it.
And then they fell in love and got married and had babies.
I was hoping that was going to be there.
But it wasn't. That's a
It
bummer.
wasn't.
Oh.
This one is from Elizabeth G20. This happened to me and I've never forgotten it. I was getting out of an abusive relationship.
Mm.
At the same time, I was working, going to school, and caring for my young daughter. Life was overwhelming to say the least. I was leaving school one evening and I just lost it when I got into the car.
Mm.
I started crying, losing my shit in the parking garage.
Mm.
I pulled myself together to drive home, and as I checked out with the usual parking attendant, he asked if I was okay.
Aw.
I started crying again, and he started telling me how he appreciated that I was always kind and chatted with him on my way out.
Aw.
He was just very, very kind when I was at one of the lowest points in my life. It was the pick me up I needed to get through that moment and keep going.
Oh, sometimes, it's just the smallest word of kindness that, helps. It's very
Yeah.
sweet.
And then I fell in love.
Yes.
I was checking out of the hotel after my daughter's wedding, and there was an elderly lady at the front desk trying to get a room, but they were sold out. She was saying that it was too pricey anyway, and she didn't have much money. As we left, I was sobbing listening to her story, and I gave her the only money I had,
Oh,
a $50 bill.
aw.
She was very happy to get it, and I often wonder what happened to her.
That's very nice.
Yeah. This one, I was 18 and had just gotten my driver's license. When did you get your driver's license?
16.
Yeah.
Like right away, as soon as I could. I was like, I want to
Yeah.
drive.
They were on strike when I finally turned 16. They went on strike, I think, like a day or two after my cousin turned 16 because she like just got her license. And yeah, they were on strike for mine, so I couldn't get it for a while.
Like your government place
Yeah,
where you
like
get your
the
license.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Or
awful.
was the driving instructors? I have no idea. Like the people at the testing facilities, I don't know.
Oh,
But
okay.
there was something.
It probably wasn't. Your mom was like, nah. I'm gonna lie to her. I don't want to take her. I'm just gonna lie to her.
No.
Just kidding, Jessica's mom. Just kidding.
We love you, Linda.
She's gonna hear that and be like, actually, that's rude.
No, she was terrified of me driving. Like she never wanted to be in the vehicle with me. I kind of forced her. Um
My dad was too. My dad was the one that
yeah.
taught us to drive, and he was like, "You guys were terrifying."
Yeah. I know I'm really nervous for my stepson to start driving.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to my kids starting to drive. It's gonna be real scary, but I think I'll have to be the one to do it because Cody is just a little too like wound up. I think he would be too like scary, like yelly, and like you know what I mean. Like someone needs to be more chill and like
Yeah, see,
clean.
Kyle and I both have like really bad road rage. So it wouldn't really matter which of us was like teaching Logan, but honestly, I'm gonna let Kyle do it because he's a better driver than me.
But she didn't say that, Kyle.
Oh no, I did.
Oh, okay.
He can drive anytime. He's really good at parking and like getting into tight spots, and I'm
Yeah.
not. So
Yeah, same. Cody's really good at it, but Cody drives a big ass truck, and so he's used to having you pull into really tight spaces, and then like I have my little Mazda SUV, so I don't have to really pull into tight spaces. So like
what
when I
colors?
do, I'm
What
like, oh
color?
god,
What color is your
blue.
CX-5? It's blue.
Yeah,
We're gonna have matching cars in the driveway.
I feel like we've talked about this on a
We
previous
have.
episode and got really excited and then forgot, and now we're getting
We
excited
totally
again.
have. And I was thinking about that today actually, because I was like, I was climbing into my car after work and I'm like, Ashley has a Mazda.
My Mazda is trash because we
Oh,
went to Michigan with the kids and they got food. I
oh
say
yeah.
they. Mara doesn't eat yet. Oliver got food everywhere.
Oh yeah. I'm getting my car cleaned on Saturday
Ah.
and then we'll see what it looks like when we get there. Anyways, I was 18 and had just gotten my driver's license.
Yeah.
I was informed to go and pick it up on a specific day. When I went there, the people responsible for handing out my driver's license couldn't find it and insisted that I had made a mistake.
Oh no.
I showed them the message saying that my driver's license is ready for pickup, so they let me wait there until their shift was over. At some point, they even gave me all the records to look myself and find my driver's license.
I feel like that's illegal. You're just like looking at other people's stuff.
Yeah. After spending my entire day there, they told me that my license was lost and that I should pay again to get a new one. Friggin' bullshit. A driving instructor, who I never met before, was nearby and heard the whole conversation. He jumped in, pretending to be my dad, and started complaining to them about their mistake. After hours of arguing for my case, he finally managed to make them prepare a new driver's license for me for free and acknowledge that it was entirely their fault.
Aw.
I never got a chance to ask for his details, but I will always be thankful for him standing up for me and helping me out.
That's so nice.
Yeah. I have two more.
Okay.
My mother has a disability and was going to physical therapy for her back injury for some time. It wasn't covered by her insurance, and my mom was faced with an over $400 bill. She looked through her wallet frantically and what just happened? My Bing window just opened all on its own.
Oh.
She looked through her wallet frantically and tried multiple cards for a few minutes, only to be declined each time.
Oh, I hate that. That's the worst.
Hate it. She was on the verge of tears when the lady taking our payment behind the desk took out her own card and paid for my mom's PT appointment. I started tearing up. What a good person.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then one more. I was in the checkout line of a dollar store with my niece, and we were buying snacks before going to a movie. I was a college teenager. She was about 7. I called my mom and asked her to put $20 in my account to buy the movie tickets since my niece's gift card was for the wrong theater. The lady in front of me with 4 small kids around her handed me a $20 bill as she left and said, "Merry Christmas to you and your baby." In her defense, the kid does look just like me. That was the nicest thing a stranger has done for me, even if there was a slight misunderstanding.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then there's a little thingy on the bottom of this saying, if you or someone you know is in immediate danger as a result of domestic violence, call 911. For anonymous, confidential help, you can call the 24/7 National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or chat with an advocate via the website. You can also dial 988 in the US to reach the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Other international suicide helplines can be found at befrienders.org, the Trevor Project, which helps provide suicide prevention resources of the LGBTQ youth.
Aw.
At 1-866-488-7386.
Love that.
Love that.
You
And
don't
those are
have
my
to-
feel-good stories.
I loved them.
Thanks.
That was very sweet.
Thanks. I liked it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You said you have some good jokes for me.
I did. And then I remembered that we decided that we're not editing this episode. You're welcome, everybody. So
I don't know.
yeah.
I think we did a pretty good job of not going too crazy and like staying on track with the editing. Like, so it's not, I don't know if they'll notice that we didn't edit this because we did such a good job.
I hope so.
All right. Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And if you would like to rate and review us, you can do so on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
When we're together.
Woohoo!
Woo! Bye.